The city was alive with noise, lights and movement, but for one small girl, it was only shadows and sound. She walked slowly, her hands touching the walls as she made her way down a dirty street. Her eyes were pale and empty, showing the truth that she could not see. She was blind, and in this harsh alien city, blindness was a curse. Every night when the streets became quieter, the girl went out to collect trash. Her hands searched the ground, feeling for bottles, broken wires, or anything that could be sold. She carried a torn sack across her back. The sack was heavier than her thin arms could handle, but she never complained. This was her only way to survive. The other aliens saw her, but they did not help. Instead, they laughed when she stumbled or whispered cruel words behind her back. "Look at her, blind and useless," some said. Others pushed her aside to take the better scraps for themselves. She did not fight back. She only lowered her head and kept searching. Her stomach often ached with hunger, but she had learned to ignore the pain. The girl's world was made of sound, smell, and touch. She knew the clink of glass, the sharp edge of metal, the soft rustle of paper. She could tell the difference between rotten food and food that might still fill her belly. She could even tell when danger was near, by the sound of heavy boots or the smell of strong drink on cruel strangers. But none of this could replace the thing she wanted most, the ability to see. Inside her heart, she carried a silent dream. She wished that one day, somehow, she could see even a single sunrise. She imagined colors, though she did not know them. She imagined faces, though she could never picture them. This dream gave her strength to walk again every night, even when her feet bled from stepping on broken glass hidden in the trash. That night was colder than usual. A sharp wind blew through the alleys, carrying dust and the sour smell of garbage. The girl hugged her thin arms around herself as she searched. Her sack was almost empty. She had not found much, and her stomach growled louder than the dogs that circled the streets. She knelt down, reaching for a sound she had heard, a metal can rolling against the wall. She stretched her hand, but someone else's foot kicked the can away. A tall alien laughed above her. "Blind rat," he said. "You think you can take from us?" He shoved her shoulder and she fell back onto the cold ground. The other aliens around him laughed. Their steps faded as they walked away with the can. She stayed on the ground for a moment, her hands pressed against her chest. Her eyes burned, though no tears came. She had cried too many times before, and she had none left. Slowly, she pushed herself back up and continued. Her fingers brushed over the dirt, touching sharp stones and broken glass. She pulled out a half-burned piece of wire and put it in her sack. It was not much, but it was something. She moved forward again, step by step. Each sound of laughter in the distance cut her heart. But she kept walking. The city seemed endless for her. Every corner felt the same, every street sounded alike. She did not know if it was night or day anymore. The sun and moon were only words to her. The light was something she had never known, but still she whispered to herself. "One day I will see." Her voice was soft, almost lost in the wind as she reached another alley. She felt tired. Her body shook with weakness. She leaned against a wall, her sack sliding to the ground. She thought about sleeping there, even though she knew it was dangerous. In the shadows, strangers could hurt her. But her legs felt heavy and her head lowered. Then she heard something different. It was not the laugh of cruel aliens or the growl of dogs. It was footsteps, slow, careful, and strong. They did not sound like the others who mocked her. The sound made her pause, her heart beat faster. Who was there? A thief, a killer, or someone worse? She froze, her empty eyes staring into the darkness she always knew. The footsteps came closer, stopping just a few feet away. She could hear breathing, steady, calm, and unlike the others. For the first time in a long time, she felt something strange. It was not fear, it was curiosity. The girl's world of darkness was about to change. Though she could not know it yet, someone had noticed her. Someone who was not from her cruel city. Someone different, and that someone was human. The blind alien girl woke early the next day, if waking could be called that. For her, day and night were the same. Darkness that never lifted. The streets outside were already noisy. Carts rolling, voices calling, children laughing and crying. She pulled herself up from where she had slept against a cold wall. Her sack of scraps was still beside her, almost empty. She tied the sack tighter and stood. Her thin legs shook, but she forced them to move. This was her life. She had no choice. She had to search again. If she did not, she would starve. The city was cruel to the weak. Rumors often spread like fire, and everyone loved to whisper that morning. As she made her way into a crowded square, she heard them again, the whispers. They thought she could not hear, but her ears caught every word. There she is. The blind trash girl, one alien voice hissed. Still crawling in the dirt. She's useless, another muttered. Why hasn't she died already? She listens like a rat picking scraps from garbage. She should be thrown out of the city. Their words cut deeper than any knife. But she kept her head down and her fingers searching. She pretended not to hear. She had learned that if she showed weakness, the mocking grew worse, yet whispers did not only carry cruelty. Sometimes they carried warnings, and that day she heard something new. They say a stranger walked near her last night, a voice said softly. Not from here, not one of us? A stranger? Another replied, what kind? A human, they say. The girl's heart skipped. Human. The word was unfamiliar on her tongue, but she had heard stories, half rumor, half fear. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Most aliens called them dangerous, others called them strange. Some whispered that humans could break rules of nature itself, but why would such a being be near her? She shook the thought away and bent to pick up a broken piece of cloth. Her sack grew heavier as the day went on. She went from corner to corner, following sounds and smells, sometimes pushing her way through garbage heaps, sometimes crawling on her knees to feel for anything useful. The streets were alive with color and light, but she knew none of it. For her, everything was sound, the dripping of water, the distant hum of machines, the harsh cries of sellers in the market. She reached for a half-crushed container and slipped it into her sack. It was not worth much, but maybe enough to buy stale bread later. But again she felt eyes on her. Not just the usual mocking stares, but sharper, quieter. Someone was watching, her ears strained, and she caught it. The same calm breathing she had heard in the night before. Steady, strong, not like the quick gasps of those who laughed at her. Her fingers froze. Should she speak? Should she call out? No, her throat tightened. If she was wrong, if it was another cruel alien, she would be punished for her hope. So she continued in silence, pretending not to notice. But the feeling did not leave. She felt followed, shadowed by someone who did not mock her, someone whose presence was heavy but not cruel. As she moved toward the edge of the market, she stumbled. A stone caught her foot, and she fell hard to her knees. The sack tore, spilling broken glass, wires, and scraps across the ground. The crowd laughed, the sound rising like knives in her ears. Blind fool, someone shouted. Can't even walk straight. Her hands scrambled to gather the scraps, ignoring the pain as sharp glass cut her skin. She tried to push the pieces back into the torn sack. Her heart pounded. Shame filled her chest like fire. Then, without warning, another hand reached down. The touch was firm but careful. It picked up a piece of wire and dropped it gently into her sack. The crowd went silent for a breath. Their laughter died. Replaced with surprise, the girl froze. Her blind eyes lifted. She could not see, but she felt it. The stranger was there, close enough to touch. The breathing, the calm steps, it was him. The one she had felt before. No words were spoken. Only the quiet sound of scraps being gathered, piece by piece, until her sack was full again. The girl's hands trembled. Was this kindness? From someone in this city? It felt impossible. Around them the whispers began again, but these whispers were different. Did you see? He helped her. Not one of us. He's human. A human helping a blind trash girl? Impossible. The girl lowered her head, clutching her sack tight to her chest. She wanted to ask, she wanted to know why, but fear held her tongue. In her world, kindness was rare, and kindness always had a price. Still, deep in her heart, something small and fragile sparked. It was not hope yet, not fully, but it was close. The feeling that maybe, just maybe, she was no longer invisible. As the whispers spread through the streets, she knew her life was changing. The city that had always ignored her was now watching. And the stranger, this human, was at the center of it. What did he want from her? And why had he noticed her when no one else ever had? The blind alien girl could not sleep that night. She lay curled against the cold wall, her torn sack beside her. Her fingers still stung from the cuts, but her heart beat with a strange new rhythm. She had felt him, the one who helped her. The human, why had he done it? No one ever helped her. The city only mocked her, pushed her away. Yet his hands had gathered her scraps without a word. His steps had been calm, his breathing steady. She had not seen him, she could not see anyone, but she had felt him more clearly than the son she had never known. The whispers in the market stayed in her ears. The others had called him human. That word echoed inside her chest. Human, what did it mean? Why did her heart race when she thought of it? The next day, she moved through the streets as usual, her fingers searching the ground. Her sack was patched with rope. Not strong, but enough to hold. The city was busy again. Voices shouting, carts rolling, the air filled with smells of oil, food, and dust. She tried to ignore the whispers around her, but she could not. Look, it's her again. Do you think the human will come today? He must be crazy. Helping a blind trash girl. She tightened her grip on the sack and walked faster. Her ears listened, her heart listened too. She wanted to know if he was there. She wanted to feel his calm breathing again. And then she heard it, slow steps, steady. Not rushed, not cruel. They followed her. Not too close, not too far. Her lips parted, her breath caught. She wanted to speak, but fear held her voice. Finally, near the edge of the square, she stopped. Her hands tightened on the sack. Why? She whispered softly. Her voice shook. Why do you follow me? For a moment there was silence. Only the wind moved, brushing dust across the stones. Then a voice answered. It was deep, gentle, and unfamiliar. So different from the mocking tones she knew. Because no one else does, the human said. The girl froze, her heart beat faster. The words felt heavy, true, and strange. You helped me, she whispered, still not lifting her head. Yes, the voice said. Calm. You needed help. She shook her head. No one helps me. Her throat tightened. Why would you? There was a pause. His steps moved closer. She could feel him now, standing only a short distance away. Because I could, he said simply. She did not know what to say. Her blind eyes turned slightly toward the sound of his voice. For the first time she dared to ask, what are you? A soft laugh came, not cruel, not mocking. Human, he answered. A traveler. The word made her chest tighten. Human, so it was true. The whispers had not lied. A human was near her. A human had seen her when no one else ever had. But still, she did not trust it. In her world, kindness was never free. She stepped back, clutching her sack close. What do you want? She asked, her voice trembled. Nothing, he said firmly. His tone carried no hunger, no cruelty. I want nothing from you. The girl's hands shook. No one ever said that. Everyone wanted something, coins, scraps, her pain, her silence. But his voice was steady, not greedy, not sharp. She lowered her head, unable to believe. People laugh at me, call me useless, they push me away, she whispered. Her voice cracked. Why do you not laugh? The human's answer came slowly, but it struck like lightning. Because you are not useless, her knees almost gave out. Her chest felt heavy. Tears she thought were gone burned her eyes. For years she had lived in darkness, surviving on scraps, hearing only cruelty. And now, a stranger, a human, spoke words no one else had ever given her. Around them, a few aliens had gathered. Their whispers grew louder. Look, he talks to her. Why waste time on a blind one? He is strange, dangerous. The human ignored them. His steps moved closer, and then she felt it. Something placed gently in her hand. It was round, smooth, light. She touched it with careful fingers. What is this? She asked, confused. Food, he said. Eat. Her throat closed, her empty stomach twisted with hunger. She lifted it to her mouth and bit. The taste filled her tongue, not sour, not rotten. Real food, fresh food. She chewed slowly, her hands trembling. The human's voice came again, low and steady. You should not live like this. The girl swallowed hard. Her lips shook as she whispered. I have no choice, but in her heart, for the first time, she felt something small but powerful. A crack in the endless darkness, a spark of light without light. The human had appeared in her life, and nothing would ever be the same again. The blind alien girl sat in the same corner of the square the next morning, hugging her torn sack against her chest. The air was filled with noise, merchants calling, carts rolling, strangers arguing, but she heard none of it clearly. Her mind was full of one voice, the voice of the human. He had spoken to her, fed her, and told her she was not useless. His words echoed again and again inside her chest. She had lived years with only insults and laughter thrown at her. Yet now a stranger had said something she had never dared to believe. But doubt still haunted her. What if he had lied? What if he was only playing a cruel trick like the others? She could not see his face. She could not know if his eyes were kind or cold. All she had was his voice, steady and calm. Her ears caught something familiar. Steps, slow, firm. The same rhythm as before. Her heart raced. She knew it was him before he even spoke. You came back, she whispered. Almost afraid, yes, the human said. His tone was certain. I told you, No one should live like this. She lowered her head. Why do you care? There was silence for a moment, then he said, Because I know what it feels like to be ignored. Her breath caught. She hugged her sack tighter. She wanted to ask more, but she did not dare. Instead, she listened as he stepped closer. I brought something, he said. His voice grew softer, almost secret. She heard the sound of a small case opening, a click, a hinge moving. Then he placed something carefully in her hands. Her fingers touched it. It was strange, hard, smooth, with thin parts that bent like wings. She tilted her head in confusion. What is this? Glasses, the human replied. A tool from my people. She frowned, running her fingers over the strange shape. Glasses? I don't understand. They help with sight, he said. His tone carried both hope and uncertainty. Maybe. They can help you see. Her chest tightened, her lips trembled. The words were impossible, unbelievable. See, she whispered. Her empty eyes lifted toward him. I cannot see, I never could, maybe not, he said gently. But sometimes human things work in ways others don't expect. She shook her head quickly, fear rushing through her. No, it cannot be true. This is a cruel trick. They will laugh, they will all laugh. The human's voice grew firm. Steady as stone, no one will laugh, not while I am here. The girl froze. His words struck deep for the first time. She felt safe. Not safe from hunger, not safe from pain, but safe from shame. His presence was a shield she had never known. Still, her hands shook as she held the glasses. She turned them over again and again, her heart pounding. If they don't work? She whispered. Then nothing changes, he answered calmly. But if they do, he paused, then said slowly, then you will see your first light. Her breath stopped. A storm raged inside her, fear, doubt, and hope battling together. For years she had dreamed of light, dreamed of colors she could never imagine, and now here was a chance, small, fragile, but real. The human's voice came again, softer this time. Let me put them on you, she nodded slowly. Almost against her own will, her hands loosened. Her body shook as she felt his warm fingers gently lift the glasses from her palms. He moved carefully as if afraid to break her. Then with a slow movement, he placed the glasses on her face. They settled across her nose and ears, strange and heavy but not painful. Her blind eyes blinked, unused to anything near them. At first there was nothing, only the same endless darkness she had always known. Her heart sank, tears pressed at her eyes. She almost pulled the glasses away, but then something flickered. A faint blur, a shimmer like water. Her mouth opened in shock. She blinked again, her heart thundered. Shapes began to form, shadows against the dark. I see something, she gasped, her voice broke. Not clear, but light, I see light. The human's breath caught too, he did not speak, but she could feel his quiet hope. She lifted her trembling hands in front of her face. For the first time, she could see the faint outline of her fingers, pale shapes moving against the light. Tears spilled down her cheeks, falling fast. She sobbed, her voice cracking. I see. The market grew quiet. Aliens nearby stopped and stared. The blind trash girl, crying, laughing, touching her face, was no longer blind. The whispers returned, rising like waves. Impossible, she can see. Human trickery, human magic. Look at her. She's different now. But the girl did not hear them. She only turned her face toward the human, though her vision was blurry. Though she could not see him clearly, she could see enough, a tall shape. A figure standing strong beside her, her tears fell harder. You gave me light, she whispered. Her voice was full of awe. The human said nothing. Only a small smile curved his lips. For him, her joy was enough. But in the shadows of the crowd, not everyone looked with wonder. Some looked with jealousy, some with anger. And deep inside the city, cruel ones whispered of ways to steal what was never theirs. The girl's new world had just begun, but danger was already coming. For the first time in her life, the blind alien girl opened her eyes and saw more than shadows. At first it was only blurred light, shifting colors she could not name. But every blink brought more shapes into focus. Her hands in front of her face, trembling and shaking, became real. Not just things she felt, but things she saw. Tears ran down her cheeks, warm and endless. She pressed her hands to her face and sobbed. Her voice shook as she whispered again and again. I see. The words felt strange on her tongue, like a secret she had never thought she would speak. The human stood close, steady as always. He did not speak at first, he only watched, his eyes softened. His lips curved slightly into a small, almost hidden smile. This was not his victory. It was hers, but still he felt something deep inside. A warmth he had not felt in many years. The crowd around them, however, was not silent. The square buzzed with whispers, voices growing louder. It's a trick. Some kind of human trick. No, look at her, she sees. Her eyes move differently now. Impossible. She was blind since birth. The girl turned her head toward the voices, and for the first time, she did not just hear them. She saw vague outlines of the ones who mocked her. Fuzzy, unclear shapes, but enough to know where they stood. Her chest tightened. She could face them now. She was no longer lost in darkness. Her knees gave way and she sank to the ground. Her tears fell into the dust. She looked at her own shadow on the stones and gasped. "That is me," she whispered. The shape of her body. The outline of her head, it was her. Something she had never known. She reached down, touching the shadow with her fingers. Laughing through her tears, the human knelt beside her. His voice came low and steady. "Do not be afraid. You are stronger now." She looked up at him. Her vision was still blurry, but she could see the tall outline of his body, the shape of his shoulders, the way his face bent toward her. It was enough to know he was real, not just a voice, not just footsteps in the dark. Her chest shook as more tears came. "I don't deserve this," she said. Her voice cracked. "Why me?" "I am nothing, I am trash." The human shook his head. His tone grew firm. "No, you are not trash, you never were. The city made you believe that, but they were wrong." His words broke something inside her. She covered her face with her hands, crying harder. Not from pain this time, but from a storm of feelings, joy, disbelief, relief, and fear all together. Her body trembled, but her heart began to feel lighter as she cried. She noticed something she had never noticed before. The world was full of colors, even if they were still blurred. The brown of the ground, the silver glint of metal, the faint red and blue cloths waving in the market stalls. She stared at them, her mouth open in wonder. "It's beautiful," she whispered. The human gave a slow nod. "Yes, the world is beautiful, but you are part of it too." Behind them, the whispers of the crowd turned sharper. Jealous eyes watched. Angry voices hissed. "Why does she get this gift? She was useless before. She doesn't deserve it. Take the glasses, sell them. They must be worth a fortune." The girl heard them. Her hands moved protectively to the glasses on her face. Fear returned to her chest, her joy trembled. She had something precious now, something that could be stolen. The human noticed her fear. His gaze swept across the crowd. His jaw tightened, his voice turned colder. "No one will touch her." His words carried weight. The aliens nearby stepped back, whispers fading. No one dared move closer. Still, the girl trembled. She leaned closer to him, whispering, "They will try, they will hurt me. They always do." "Not while I'm here," he said firmly. His tone carried no doubt, only promise. For the rest of the day, the girl walked through the streets holding her sack close. Her vision blurred but stronger with each blink. She looked at the ground she once touched with only her hands. She saw broken glass shining, metal scraps glinting, and trash that had always been her world. But now it was more than sound and touch. It was sight. Each little thing made her heart race. She touched a flower fallen from a stall and gasped at the bright color. She raised it to her face, staring. "So this is red?" she whispered. Her tears returned. She had imagined colors in dreams, but reality was brighter than dreams. The human walked beside her. Silent but watchful, he did not need to speak. His presence was enough. She knew she was not alone, not anymore. As the sun lowered and shadows stretched, the girl sat with him on a quiet step. Her eyes followed the last light in the sky. She whispered softly, "I thought I would die in darkness, but you gave me light." Her tears fell again. But these were different. Tears of gratitude. Tears of hope, and yet far away in the crowded alleys, angry eyes still watched. The cruel ones who once mocked her now saw her as a prize. A girl who had nothing now carried something priceless. The girl's first tears of joy marked the beginning of a new life. But they also marked the beginning of new dangers. The blind alien girl, no longer blind, walked through the narrow streets with her sack on her back. Her vision was still blurry, but each hour it grew stronger. Each color she saw felt like a miracle. Each shadow felt like proof that the darkness of her life was finally breaking. The human walked close beside her. Silent but steady, his presence gave her courage. For the first time, she did not feel small and invisible. She felt like someone who mattered, but not everyone in the city saw her with kindness. Whispers had spread quickly, faster than fire. The news ran through the alleys. The trash girl could see. The blind one now walked with a human, and she wore strange glasses that made the impossible real. By evening, the cruel ones returned. They were the same group who had mocked her before. Stronger, taller, their eyes sharp with greed. They blocked her path in a narrow alley. Their laughter filled the air. "Well, well," one said, stepping forward. "The rat sees now." The girl froze, her body trembled. Her hands clutched the glasses on her face. Fear tightened her chest. Memories of years of cruelty flooded back. She lowered her head, but the human stepped slightly forward. "Leave her," he said. His voice was calm but strong. The aliens laughed. "Leave her?" "No, human. We only came to admire your gift," those shiny things on her face. "They don't belong to her." The girl shook her head quickly, her voice breaking. "Please, no, don't take them." One of the cruel aliens sneered. "You were nothing before, crawling in the dirt. You think you deserve sight? You think you deserve light?" He spat on the ground. "You don't, but we can sell those glasses for a fortune." They stepped closer, their shadows falling over her. The girl stumbled back, her heart racing, her vision blurred with tears for a moment. It felt like the darkness was returning. Swallowing her again, the human raised his hand. His eyes locked on the bullies. His tone was firm, unshaken. "Touch her, and you'll regret it." The alley grew quiet. The cruel ones paused. They had heard stories of humans, stories of strength, of stubbornness, of those who fought even when beaten down. But greed pushed them forward. One lunged toward the girl, reaching for her face. She cried out, stumbling back, but before the hand could touch her, the human caught the alien's wrist. His grip was like iron. The alien hissed in pain, struggling to pull free. "I warned you," the human said, his voice low, dangerous. The other bullies growled, moving closer. The girl clutched her sack to her chest, her body shaking. She could see the blur of shapes around her. She could see the danger closing in. Her tears fell fast. "Please stop, don't hurt him. Don't hurt us," but the human did not step back. His shoulders squared. His voice carried through the alley. "She has suffered enough, not one of you will touch her again." The cruel ones hesitated. Their leader spat, "She is nothing, and you. Human, you don't belong here. Why fight for her?" The human's eyes burned with quiet fire. "Because she is not nothing," he said. His words were steady. "She deserves more than your cruelty." The girl's heart broke open at his words. Her tears spilled harder. She pressed her hands to her mouth, shaking. No one had ever spoken for her before. No one had ever stood between her and danger. The bullies pulled back, muttering among themselves. They had not expected resistance, not from a human, not from someone who stood so firm without fear. One glared at the girl, his voice sharp with venom. "This is not the end, trash girl. We'll come again." They retreated into the shadows, their laughter fading, but their threat still heavy in the air. The alley grew quiet again, only the sound of the girl's trembling breaths filling the space. She fell to her knees, her hands pressed to the glasses. Her voice shook. "They will come back, they always come back." The human knelt beside her, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "Then I'll be here when they do," he said. His voice was calm, unbreakable. Her tears spilled onto the ground. But these were not only tears of fear. They were tears of something new, something fragile. Trust. She turned her blurry gaze toward him. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Why do you care so much?" The human was quiet for a moment, his eyes softened. His answer was simple, "Because someone should." The girl's chest shook with sobs. She covered her face, her whole life had been filled with darkness, cruelty and silence, but now she had light, and she had someone who stood beside her. The city around them was still cruel, still full of eyes that hated, but the girl was no longer alone. She had her sight, she had her tears, and she had a human who refused to let her fall again. And though the cruel ones had retreated, their shadow still lingered. A storm was coming, and both the girl and the human knew it. The next morning, the girl woke before the sun. She sat quietly near the edge of a small rooftop, her legs pulled to her chest, the glasses still resting gently on her face. They felt like a part of her now, not just a tool, but a key that had opened a locked door. She blinked at the early light. Her vision was still soft around the edges, but she could see the sky above, pale orange turning to soft gold. And in that sky, for the very first time, she saw birds flying. Tears filled her eyes. not from sadness but from wonder. She had heard them before, felt the beat of their wings, listened to their songs, but now she saw them dance above her, free and full of life. Behind her, quiet steps approached. The human sat beside her without saying a word. He looked out at the same sky, his face calm, peaceful. They didn't speak for a long time. They didn't need to. Finally, the girl whispered, "I never knew the world could be this beautiful." The human nodded. "It always was. You just weren't given the chance to see it." She turned toward him, her voice softer. "You gave me that chance." He gave a small smile. "No, I just helped you find it. The strength was already inside you." For the first time in her life, she smiled, a real full smile. It felt strange on her face, like trying on new clothes. But it also felt right that day. She did not go out to collect trash. Instead, she followed the human through the quieter parts of the city. He showed her things she had never imagined. Trees with leaves like fire, fountains that sparkled under sunlight, colorful paintings on walls she had once passed without knowing. Children stared at her as she walked by, not with cruelty, but curiosity. Some of them even smiled, and when she smiled back, they laughed, not in a mean way but with joy. The human bought her food from a small stall. Warm and soft, filled with sweet flavor, she laughed as the taste filled her mouth. "Is this what food is supposed to taste like?" she asked. He chuckled. "Yes, not like the moldy scraps you used to find." She shook her head. Amazed, "I never thought I'd sit in the sun, eating food I can see with someone beside me who doesn't hate me." That afternoon, they returned to the alley where they first met. The place was still dirty, the walls cracked, the shadows long, but it felt different now. The girl stood still, staring at the ground she once crawled on. Her voice was quiet. "This was my world," she said. "This is where I was left, where I begged, where I cried." The human stood beside her, silent, letting her feel the weight of the memory. "But now," she whispered, touching her glasses gently, "now I can leave it behind." She turned away from the alley, holding her head a little higher. Her heart was still healing, but it beat stronger than ever. Later, as the sun dipped low, she asked the question she had kept inside since the day they met. "Will you leave soon?" The human looked at her for a moment, then answered honestly, "I was planning to, but now—" He paused. "Now I don't think I should." Her heart skipped. "Why?" "Because I gave you glasses," he said, "but you gave me something back." She tilted her head, confused. "What could I give you?" He smiled gently. "Hope," he said. "I had lost it. But you reminded me what it looks like." The girl didn't speak. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time she didn't wipe them away. She let them fall freely. "I don't want you to go," she whispered. "Not just because you helped me, but because when you're near, I feel like I matter." The human placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "Then I'll stay," he said, "not to protect you, but to walk beside you." The next few days brought change. Word spread not just about the glasses, but about the girl who once lived in darkness and now walked with light. Some still whispered in jealousy, but most began to watch her with quiet respect. She no longer picked trash. Instead, she started helping others, other lost ones, other children living in shadows. Her story gave them courage, and the human, he helped her build a small place of her own. A home, not much, just a clean room with a door and a light. But it was hers one morning as the city stirred awake. The girl stood outside her new home, looking at the sky. Her eyes were stronger now, the colors clearer, the shadows sharper. She turned to the human and smiled. "This is my new world," she said. He nodded. "And your new life." They stood together, two souls from different stars, bound not by blood, not by race, but by something greater, kindness. In a city that once gave her only darkness, she had found her light, and she had shared it with the one who helped her see.